Dear participants, on behalf of the European Alliance for Initiatives of Applied Anthroposophy, I am very glad to welcome you all here and that you all made the decision to join this event because we feel the time is really there where more and more people wake up for a necessary new engagement, and that is out of a free initiative, out of free will, out of an autonomous identification of problems, of tasks, to fill the gap between the economic life and the political life, but also between the ideals we all have in our Declaration of Human Rights and the reality in which these human rights seem to disappear more and more. For me, it was a real pain to experience how beautifully our legal status is in the European Union for the right of the asylants, for the migrants, for the refugees. And even there is written what to do in case, if unexpected, lots and lots of migrants will approach in Europe. It's all written there. But when it happened, there is the beautiful law, beautiful regulation, and then the humans who feel not able to realize that. And this is only one example out of the great political landscape, but we all know in the life situations how many small gaps of that type we have. So we are very glad to have the chance to discuss widely on different levels these themes. That brings us right also into this concept of ELIANT, that we try to bring together interprofessional agriculture, social skills, medicine, patient interests, public work, social initiatives. But the common ground of these interdisciplinary work, that is that we feel so touched by these fundamental human rights. The name anthroposophy means anthropos, we know this from anthropology, just the human being, and to develop a wisdom of the human dignity, a wisdom of how to reach really freedom, how to develop tolerance. You said we need to develop also attitudes, but we need also to know how to do that and to find ways to really overbridge this gap between, I read it recently in a headline by Schäuble, our finance minister in Germany, concerned in regard to Europe that we have such a gap between ideal and reality. Yeah, of course, that is a typical way of German thinking, to see the ideals and to see the reality and to be a bit depressed, and so we know that. But on the other hand, it is really a growing problem that we have these beautiful concepts of the dignity of man and the human rights since almost 200 years, and it becomes more and more popular. But how to bring these concepts into the daily reality? Yeah, how to serve the human rights in the educational system, in the medical system, in sustainable agriculture, in caring also for the animals, for their dignity, and so on. So I have the feeling also for the applied anthroposophy, who has only this one focus, to humanize our activities more and not to forget this concept of dignity in our everyday work, that it could be the right time to promote also such a soft concept more and more because we meet in our daily life a stronger and stronger polarization between populists and conventionalists, and it is a need to find ways to avoid these polarizations. But I feel very strongly, without a focus to the human being and what is really empowering the individual to discover this split of mind or this intolerance within him or herself, and then out of that self-understanding find what to do, how to overbridge that we really see the needs of the other. I think that is something the anthroposophic concepts we will now address in the workshops can really help to find ways. And I would like now first to introduce myself. I am Michaela Glöckler and one of the co-founders of this alliance, ELIANT. And my medical background is pediatrics, and so I feel very strongly associated with the educational field. But the other workshops we want to promote, they have a similar goal. When you go to agriculture and we see how we deal today with our natural resources, how we lose our seeds, the most natural one can have in agriculture, then we can also see the need here that a rethinking of the whole agriculture business and system is necessary, and also the question, what can we do that not only the big agrochemical business makes the game also in Europe, but that these biological and biodynamic agriculture initiatives can get more and more a chance for further development. And I would like to mention that one of the reasons why we decided to form this alliance ELIANT was when, due to the vitamin D regulation, that all the baby food had to be artificially vitaminized, that due to this EU regulative, Demeter lost the permission to sell its not artificially supplemented baby food on the European market. You know, something which was possible over decades since its development and nourished many babies, many people who wanted the free vote for natural food. All of a sudden, just by a regulation, we want artificially to set a certain limit for a vitamin D amount in the baby food. Just through such a regulation, a whole agriculture and nutrition domain just dropped out of the European market as a consequence. And that is a lack of thinking. If we do a regulative, a new directive, first one needs to see who is really touched by such a new initiative. And one needs to discuss beforehand what to do. Because when this was done, and Demeter International argued with the Commission, there was said something very nicely. One was, it's wonderful what good quality you have in your grains. There is enough vitamin B, 6 and 12, that's beautiful. But that is such a high standard, we cannot implement this for Europe. And the other, what they said was, but you are so few, your community is so small, that we cannot make an exception by law for you. You miss the critical mass. And when I heard that, I really felt now something is going wrong. We need to do something about. because freedom of choice, of course we have it. But if the possibility to choose, for example, not artificially supplemented baby food, then we cannot make this choice anymore. Yeah? You are free, but you can only choose what is available. And if you lose certain availabilities of remedies, of products, of freedom in education, yeah, which might maybe also one day be overregulated, I hope not, with your help. But if we come in this landscape that just by regulative pathways we lose our variety, we lose pluralism, we lose creative minorities, that is a pity, because Europe is really the country in which minorities, small population with a strong identity, a very valid culture are living. And this mutual recognition, what is allowed in one country, to make available also in another country, so that the countries among themselves recognize them more. I think these are ideas in the head, they are living everywhere, but they are not living strongly enough when the regulations are made. And that is something ELIANT want to help, that between the civil society, between all the necessary lobbyist work, between the Brussels organs, the European organs, the Parliament, the Council, the Commission, and all the structures, that there can be found more possibility for an exchange about topics as I have mentioned right now, and you before. I see a need that we create a new initiative, and maybe at the end of this day, in some of the workshops, some people have an idea how to do that, and we can even come to a next step we can envision, and that is, I think we need an initiative of active individuals and associations and NGOs who want to be a positive, constructive conversation partner for the authorities in the political and economic business life, just to give the people of Europe, the citizens, more voice and more counseling ability. I know that there are structures already in the EU and in the contracts, but also here I feel they are there, but in reality it does not yet work enough. And I hope that ELIANT can just be one of those little NGOs who want to help, together with others, that such a initiative for the human rights can become more broadened and a real European bottom-up activity. So I hope that the workshop you have chosen can, on the one hand, show you good ideas how to rethink such a field of work, but on the other hand, also show you how endangered the availability of choice is today, and that some developmental potentials who are within these fields of action are hindered by certain regulations. And I hope that you will come to good ideas what to do to overcome this. And one idea more I would like to set at the end of this little introduction in the further process, and that is that I'm strongly convinced that this concept of the human rights must individualize more into every human person's mind. It must play a role in the way we educate. It must play a role in the way we lead the social life. And this can only happen if each one feels co-responsible for realizing the human rights in family, in neighborhood, wherever we go. We carry co-responsibility for the dignity of the human being and of these human rights. And that is what I wish very much, that this conference can contribute to sharpen this consciousness of co-responsibility. Thank you.